This is more a utilitarian product where we are trying to address a very niche problem that's there: collaboration and communication. Now, here you'll notice 86% of employees and executives cite lack of collaboration or ineffective communication for workplace failures. Again, you'll see a bunch of these stats floating around that talk about lack of effective communication, lack of collaboration. And automated release notes is trying to address that specific need. Right now, the way release notes are generated is very tedious. If you have been a product manager, if anyone who is listening to this have been a product manager in the past, they'll know the tedious nature of coming out with release notes. You have to generate release notes in different formats for different stakeholders. For example, your business team needs a completely different picture of what's going out or what has got out already in a specific release as compared to what your customers are looking for. Compare that with what your customer success or customer support team is looking for. That's again completely different and in different format. So that's one of the most difficult things when it comes to creating your release notes easily. It's very difficult to figure out which items are to be included in your release notes, because at the end of the day, they're depending on the size of your product, depending on the size of your backlog, how many tickets go out, how many stories go out is dependent on that. But it's never easy to say how many of those, let's say 50 items that went live, need to be included in the release notes, right? It's always difficult. Depending on who the audience is, you'll have to choose the right ones. Who are the relevant recipients and what do they need to know about? These are some of the difficult things that the traditional way does not really cater to. You have to do this manually. You have to figure out and spend, or rather invest, a lot of efforts to come out with something that's very effective. You have to send out emails, be it internal emails or external emails, or you also have to publish to Confluence. And that's where automation comes into picture. What it does is it essentially gives you a visual way of creating release notes. You can create different release notes template utilizing Jira's custom fields or default fields. You can pick the Jira issues that are coming out to be included. So for example, let's say out of 100 issues that are 100 tickets that are going live, only 40 are going to be useful for the customers themselves, right? So in that case, what you would do is you would create a custom field, let's call it release notes for customers. We'll just use it yes and no type of field, and we'll set this field up to yes only for those 40 tickets. And what you can do with an automated release notes is you can create a template that's specific to the customers themselves and create that JQL, taking into account this where clause where you say only include those items that are going in XYZ release and those tickets that are meant for customers. This will bring out only the relevant items, only the relevant tickets. And additionally, then you can configure what are the items, what are the issue fields, the ticket fields that I want to display in the release notes. For example, even for the same ticket, the internal release notes could look very different from a customer release note. So all of that is completely taken care of within the templates themselves. The major advantages of using the automation is you shorten the update cycles. You don't have to spend extraneous time to come out with these release notes. You can just do it with one click or even without any clicks if you're doing the automation. You can increase the customer feedback. You can provide different ways to customers to engage with you, to sort of communicate with you via these release notes. You can use these as a reference point for documentation as well. And at the end of the day, the idea is to keep every stakeholder informed about any changes that are happening in your products. Now, skipping to this one, obviously there are different formats. Like I mentioned, there are rules, and then you have the ability to take the release notes directly to your customers, that is within your apps themselves. So we'll go to the screenshots and I'll explain a few things here. So here you'll see you can generate release notes in these many formats. All of these are just templates: email, PDF, Confluence, JSON, HTML, Markdown. Whatever your use case, majority of them are already addressed. Say if you have a running release notes page, you can do that using automated release notes. Say you want an internal and external email notification, you can do that through automated release notes. Say you need a repository of all the PDF release notes, you can do that through automated release notes. And another interesting aspect of this is automated release notes can integrate with something like Zapier, which can then extend to a lot of things. So for example, a use case that we ourselves have been doing is posting to our Twitter account whenever a new release is live, right? So as soon as a version is marked as released within Jira, it generates a release note. It calls out the relevant Zapier rule, and then a tweet is created based on that. So very interesting use cases there to solve.
Yeah, you can imagine how much time that's going to save just by setting all of this in advance. So yeah, particularly if you're releasing really frequently, you might want to continue to push a lot of information out to different audiences.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the drivers for developing this product was my own experience. I've been a product manager in the past where I had to take ownership of these processes. Apart from the fact that these processes are extremely tedious, they also tend to be vulnerable to manual errors. At the end of the day, you are, trying to copy paste a lot of information from a single source to different destinations. So as soon as you create a template, you're done. All of that information can be gathered with just one click or no clicks. Now, this screenshot is talking about the automation aspect. The last one was about really the release notes content, the layout. This one is about how you can automate that. If you keep it manual, obviously there is no automation, but the other triggers you'll notice there is version release, there is scheduled before end days of release, there is scheduled at interval, there is even a webhook. So if you have a CI/CD system in place, you can just call the webhook URL and trigger the release note, or rather trigger the rule here, and all the corresponding actions will get triggered within the app. So extremely helpful for technical writers, product managers, even project managers. So given that the app relies on JQL, the Jira query language, it's not really restricted to the release notes themselves. We have seen our customers using this for generating weekly status reports, daily status reports as well. Because at the end of the day, the app is working on the concepts of JQL.